back to this week's episode of I'm Set, the podcast. I'm Danisha Roll.
I'm Adriana Smith.
And I'm Sports Talk Tasha.
And this week we have a guest. We have Stichiz.
Hello.
Artist, radio personality, iHeartMedia. She is here. She is joining us. Stichiz, we want to hear all the tea.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, ladies. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
So tell our viewers how you got your start.
Okay, so when people ask me that, which start? Radio, music, books, radio?
Radio.
Okay, radio. Let's talk radio. So my start in radio, like I mentioned when we talked before, originally from Ottawa, Canada, but of Haitian descent. But fast forward, music was something always a part of my life, and writing short stories, poetry. Then it eventually developed into songs. And then one day, fast forward, I'm still doing music, but fast forward, I think I was in college, and I remember listening to the radio, and I'm like, I don't know, something just dropped on me, and it was like, hey, I can do that. I want to do that. So I went to my, it was my department chair for communications at the time. I mean, this little short lady with silver hair, fantastic lady, Miss Alvarez. And I went to her and I said, Miss Alvarez, hey, I want to go into this company, but I need an internship. Can you get me a letter? Chad, I don't care. You had to be a senior at that point to be an intern, but I wasn't a senior yet. So I'm like, I just need a letter. I just need my foot in the door. So she wrote me a letter. She said, okay, I'll say that you're getting credit. I didn't care about no dang on credit. I just need to be an adult. She wrote me the letter. I remember the first day I went in, they called me back and I went into the to interview. And I always share this part because I feel like it's important. Whenever there's something that you really want to do, the word divine is coming to mind. But when it's yours, it's yours. And there might be people there to kind of distract you from it. The person I interviewed with was so, I don't know, just really rude and really just not nice for some reason. Might have been having a bad day. Don't know, didn't care at that time. I just said, okay, sure, yeah, fine, sure, yeah, what do you need? Sure, whatever, yeah, sure, yeah, what do you need? Fast forward, he says, yeah, do you want to interview with so-and-so? So I said, okay, yeah, sure. So I go and I interview with the person, essential who this person is. And in radio, when the red light goes on, that's your key thing you have to talk. Because the number one thing in radio you don't want is dead air. Because people will turn the dial rather. So I was talking to this person, boop, he turns on the red light. Okay, so then I started talking, and from that point on, he put me on his show, and I was peaches, so I had like my voices, and I was giving him like the news and everything like that, like talking like that. And then fast forward.
Wait, this is all during the first interview?
This was the interview, the first interview. When it's yours, dear. And then fast forward to that, the person that I was interning with, it was Papa Keith. So 2023 now, for the past some odd years, God's grace, right after the Breakfast Club, it's me, and then it's Papa Keith, and then we have Bulletproof and J-Kiss. So just how things turn into full circle. Wow. When it's yours, it's yours. Of course, honey, there was a lot of bagging happening in between that. But nonetheless, when something is for you, it's for you. You put in your work and let God do the rest.
Yes, yeah, so divine.
Yeah.
So, but y'all hear performer, like you hear all the personalities.
Everything.
We've been trying to figure out where it come from because I'm Caribbean, so we couldn't watch TV like that. So I don't know. I don't know where it come from.
That's funny. Yeah. So we typically on the show, when guests come in, we ask them, how was your weekend? And what did you do this past weekend? Sure. But I feel like for a radio personality, the weekend is like going 400 miles a minute. Like, what do you guys do on the weekend?
It varies from person to person. For me, like, we were talking about earlier, it's different because right after radio, I have a whole another life, and most of them do too as well, I will say, but it's just different organization and groups and other jobs that I have to attend to. So it's literally like back to back to back. And I'm in the process now of really trying to but more so in prayer with finding a medium, because it really doesn't stop. So it's like, yeah. Yeah. But blessed. Booked and busy is what we call it.
I was just about to ask you, so how do you find time for yourself, though?
Yeah, that's what I'm doing. That's what I'm trying to do. That's what I'm looking to do. I'm being honest.
Okay, so Miami, major market.
Sure.
Lots going on down here.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have, I know we have the Heat, right? And the Dolphins and the Panthers.
Yes.
Do you have a favorite team? It doesn't have to be a Miami-based team.
I'm home team all day, shawty. Like, I'm just going, like, if we in Florida, like, I'm going to be Panthers. Panthers, I will say, I have a history with Panthers.
So Panthers is hockey.
Panthers
For
is
those
hockey.
of you guys that don't know.
Panthers, I realized was my first heartbreak in life. It wasn't no man. It was the Panthers. You looking like
1996?
really Stitches?
Right,
No, this is
how
true
this
story.
happen?
I had a revelation a few, like not too long ago. But this is another story of how God is so cool and so good. Hockey was the first sport that I would watch with my dad. Like that was our thing, hockey and wrestling. Ottawa.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, good job.
I see.
Come on, sis. Come on. No. But yeah, so I would watch hockey and wrestling with my dad. And I remember one of the Stanley Cups that the Panthers were playing. This is how much like I was into it. I had a neighbor, and I'm picturing this, y'all. I had a neighbor who lived down the street. Her name was Janet, Spanish girl, super nice. She wasn't even home, y'all. She was not home. But it was the Stanley Cup, the finals. So, pero I run to her house, our cable cut off. So I asked my mom, I asked my dad, I said, Dad, can I go watch the game? He's like, yeah, go ahead. So I go to her house, knock on the door. It's like, hi, Mr. Nieves, can I watch the game? Like, Janice isn't home. Let me fast forward. I'm like, it's okay, can I just watch the game? So I'm watching the game, and I'm praying, let the Panthers win. Honey, they lose the Stanley Cup.
This was 1996.
Yes,
listen,
around that time.
I was right there with you.
Oh
sis.
my gosh!
Listen,
See, women love sports. Look at this.
I'm telling you, this is how much I was deep with the Panthers. I would go and watch them practice at the little arena that they had in Fort.
I ain't get that far.
Me
I
and my
ain't get
best
that far.
friend at the time, hey season,
Yes.
we would skip school. Don't skip school, kids.
Don't do it.
We would skip school
Yeah.
to go watch the Panthers practice.
1996.
This
so
one?
you at your
They were
neighbor's
throwing
house.
rats.
I was like 9 years old, and if you can imagine this, the last puck didn't go in, and I'm like, no, like running home crying. Nobody cared. Nobody just didn't care about it. But I went to my dad, and he's like, oh, it's okay, don't worry. So fast forward though, look how cool God is. Fast forward, the first contract in Canada I get, my pastor, he tells me like, hey, something from Canada is gonna come, pay attention to this. So
this was like a prophecy.
yeah, this was. So in November, I think it was of 2021 or 2022, shout out to Hilding, I get a call from my agent. He's like, hey, audition for this. So this is about a couple of months that go by, I don't hear anything. Finally did the audition. I get a call back and they're like, hey, they want you. So I was the first woman to voice all the sports in Canada for Sportsnet, so all the sports that they have. But the first sports that I did was hockey. NHL.
Wow.
So you can't make that stuff up, mate. You know what I mean? Like, can't tell me about my guy. Like,
Wow.
yeah. So I'm grateful and humbled by it. Yeah.
Love it. Okay,
Thank
so
you.
we've heard you infuse your beliefs.
Yes.
Right? Very heavy. Can you just share with our viewers and listeners,
Sure.
right? Just what is it that you believe? How you are able to stand so firm in the entertainment industry?
Yeah. Good question, and I'm grateful and thankful for it. Everybody's not going to be for it, but I believe in the Lord Jesus Christ as my Savior, and don't know why I say it like that, but it just feels right. I think it's just a Southern thing, and I ain't even from the South, but it just feels right to me. But no, seriously, I believe in the Lord Jesus Christ, that He is my Savior, and just certain things that I've gone through and that I've seen. When you're in the storm, of course, nobody wants to be in the storm, but there's a covering that you have with the Lord and with Christ. And the things that I've been, I guess I could say, privy to see, it hurt in the midst of it, but I got out and I'm like, man, I'm thankful because now nobody really can't tell me. And what I seen, nobody can't shake me from, hopefully, no, right now, you can't shake me right now. You can't shake me from who God is and what He's done for me and what I've seen Him do. Of course, there's been some disappointments, but I'm still here. I should not be here. Plenty of people had stuff, counted me out and literally wanted me out, but He said, no, it's not her time. So I still got work to do.
So
Yeah.
going with that, as a woman in the entertainment industry, in the radio world, and we've seen people recently attack Angela for not being an advocate for women. Now put that aside because I don't believe Angela is not an advocate for women at all. I've seen her advocate so many times, but put that aside. You've gone to several different states throughout the country and you've worked in different markets. So how do you deal with the actual mean girl, like the one who is really trying to push you down?
Yeah. And I will say respectfully, I have to say it with Angela Yee, because when I do call her and when I'm able to speak with her, she's come through for us. Even working with Girls Make Beats, our nonprofit, shout out to Tiffany. So when I asked her to come on to the panels and to, even most recently during the pandemic, we did a virtual Women of iHeart, and she was our special guest. And I knew she was just opening, I think, her juice bar. She had a lot going on.
Right.
But she came in that Zoom and was able to speak to our girls and just other things, even when we were in New York. So I have to say cheers to her for the things that I've seen her do and be advocate of. So I can't speak to the other part, but talk about mean girls. Yeah, people are just gonna be mean. and my mom always says, kill people with kindness. And no matter what, you just never know what people are going through. So I don't know what, sometimes, put it like this, I may have a bad day someday. So I do my best. I'm not perfect at all, but I do my best to try to not charge the person with it. But I have experienced and seen women, when I first saw it, it really was a shock to me. Like seeing women, like somebody that was so pro and advocate, like women did a whole like campaign about it. Then I get to knowing them, and did I say get to knowing them? Is what I said, get to knowing them. And they're really not. And I'm like, oh, wow, people really do this. Like, okay. So you just see it and you really maneuver around it. I can't, they don't stop the show. So you know you will encounter it. My advice is to really just keep going. And the best way to put this, if that person that you're dealing with is a mean girl, if you will, and they are a decision maker, just be wise in how you interact with the person. And do your best to still stay you. And I heard somebody say this, see how you can be of service. I know it's counterproductive or counter world, but see how you can be of service. And there's just some people who just not gonna be for you. So you just know, don't bang your head with that person. Like, they're just not the door. So move on. Who's the next person? But you don't have to be at odds with that person. If they don't like you, they don't like you. It is what it is. But you do your job, you see how you could be of service, and move on.
So what challenges you had to overcome being a woman in the entertainment industry?
Entertainment, I'll hit on radio first, and then I'll hit entertainment in general. I think for radio, me even getting to the position, and a lot of people probably don't even know that I know, but it's, how can I put it? I knew everybody wasn't in agreement because of, I was at the time the youngest person and quote unquote, not the most seasoned in years, according to next to so-and-so. But nobody knew that you were up 4 o'clock in the morning working on your air checks, working with every single person in different markets and in different studios, getting your stuff done, going to school, 7 classes, and still working and still trying to put in the work for other things. People don't see that grind.
Right.
But I think that was one of the, I guess you can say, things that I saw where people trying to count you out. They know you have something, but it's like they feel somebody else was probably more qualified. But that's why I say when something is for you, baby, it's for you. So favor ain't always fair.
That actually reminds me of something that happened last year, I believe, or 2 years ago on ESPN with Rachel Nichols and Maria Taylor. And Rachel Nichols was super salty that Maria Taylor got the job and she didn't. And somebody recorded her and released that recording. And she wasn't trying to say anything about Maria Taylor per se, but she was just like, well, I'm more qualified and I've been here longer and I've done this longer. And ESPN is just trying to fill their quota of minority women on air as opposed to, and she's like, I'm a minority too because I'm a woman. Like, it was super messy, but that story just really reminded me of that.
Yeah.
So it happens, like, it's just a reminder that this happens
A lot.
so much more than we think in all different facets of media, radio, television, whatever.
Can I give somebody peace though, if that does happen? And I had to learn this, and I'm appreciative of it, but we're human, so we're gonna feel things. Of course, if you put in 20 years into something and then here comes somebody putting in a year or 6 months and they get it, it's like, of course it's gonna hit you a certain way, but I pray this gives somebody peace. You don't know what somebody has going on at the time. And you don't know what journey they had, even if it's 6 months, you don't know what happened prior to that. You don't know if that's a life-saving grace for them. You don't know that person's journey. So just know that whatever is for you, again, I keep saying that, but I hope somebody receives that. Whatever is for you is going to be for you, and everybody's journey is just not going to be the same. So you don't know what somebody had to do or what they went through on the back end. That story's not being told. So give yourself some grace and have peace in knowing that if it's yours, it's gonna be yours.
Right.
And then too, just to add to that, sometimes the rejection is really redirection.
Come on.
So we can sometimes look at a
Come on.
situation like, oh, it's my time.
Yeah.
I thought it was, I was gonna have that. How could they?
Yeah.
But the reality is, it just really isn't for you. And what comes later, you might look back and be like, dang,
I'm glad that.
right. I'm so happy it didn't happen right then.
Exactly.
So yeah.
Redirection, that's good. That's really good.
So touch on it from the music aspect.
Yes. Woo! Yeah. From the music aspect, growing up, I was always the artist that was always told I wasn't this enough, that enough. My voice was, nobody could really fit me into a particular genre because I would rap in English, French, and Creole, and it sprinkle reggae and different vibes, and I had like this rock-like vocal, which is why I think I would research a lot of older artists. And Tina Turner was like one of those, because of her voice, like nobody understood what the heck, but she was able to turn it into her own brand and own thing. But as a woman and a young girl, I could say a young girl coming into the industry, it was always expected for me to like talk about certain things and to wear certain things. And I remember a DJ sat me down, a real well-known DJ when I don't know if I was a senior in high school, but he sat me down and he had a meeting with me and was like, yeah. So yeah, you got this, you're this, like you're super talented, like nobody can deny your talent. He's like, but look at all of these artists and the female artists. He's like, you see they showing something. Pero I was like, from that moment on, I'm like, okay, I know I'm not gonna, that's not my lane. And it's not to disrespect or anything, it's just, I don't sell that. That's not, so if I were to do it, people would call she flawed it, like she capping, because that's not her. When you see me, that's not me. So for me to do that in my music like that and it wouldn't come off authentic. So.
But do you think because the industry has become so overly sexualized, especially with the women who do have talent now are being overlooked because they don't want to, go in that direction of selling sex and showing their bodies and things of that nature?
Now, honestly, no. I would say no, just because the spectrum is so broad now with social media and with different platforms to where you can put out your music. I don't think it's just the same. I think people now more than ever are, they want something different. I think people are really searching for something different. So that would be my opinion. Of course, there's always going to be that theme, sex sales. I don't think that's going to go away. I don't subscribe to it. I believe what you put in people's face, they're just going to feed it. Just like radio, like when you play a song consistently, like it might be a song like you can't stand, but after a while, it's like, oh, I know that song. I like that song. I love it. So that's really my perspective. Once you put something in somebody's face long enough or put it in their ear long enough, they're going to gravitate to it. But I think we're in a space now where people want something different.
So we actually talked about the sexualization in the industry, and one of the things we talked about was at the Oscars after party, the Vanity Fair after party, Sierra wore a cover-up in a thong. She wore a cover-up in a thong. She did. It wasn't a dress. I'm sorry, Tracy. But, you know, a lot of people were actually talking about the dress. But what Adriana really had a problem with was the fact that, you know, her and her husband preach the gospel, and they're, you know, you go to Russell Wilson,
Twitter.
His Twitter, and it's scripture and verses and praise God, and that's great. But Adriana's big issue with that was the fact that, you know, if you're going to be a gospel holy family, that's not the image you can portray. So what were your thoughts on her doing that?
And shame on me, I didn't see the full picture. I saw something, but I didn't know if it was like my eyes playing tricks on me.
No, she ain't have on nothing.
It was a cover-up.
It was a cover-up. It was pasty.
But my issue was
pasties.
with Russell, though. Not more so Cece, but Russell.
Okay.
That was my issue. Was with him.
With him, what was your discrepancy with
Like
it?
like what she was saying, because yes, we know Sierra believes in Jesus, right?
For
but
sure.
we
She's
know
vocal
that
about
Russell is very vocal about his faith.
Sure.
On his Twitter, he has a scripture a day. He's always giving Jesus
loves
the
the
praise. He loves the Lord. So
Right.
my issue was like, we can't just be posting the scripture but not living our lives accordingly, because as not just a husband and a leader of your household, but a man of God,
Right.
you shouldn't be okay with your wife outside
Okay.
like
I see
that.
what you mean.
I don't care if it was a theme of the after party. You still gotta be set apart, and you gotta choose. Like you
Okay.
can't just have your wife out there with a thong and some pasties and be like, well, it's the after party. It's like, and then y'all in the prison singing Gyra, you know. You know, so it's I just think that it could be very confusing
Confusing to
because
somebody, for
at
sure.
the end of the day, you're posting and preaching one thing, but then when we go on the internet, we see you outside having your wife in absolutely nothing, where the whole
Faces.
world can see what you get every day.
Right. she turned like auntie. She said, that was an auntie turn right there. No, I definitely understand what you mean as far as it can be confusing for somebody who may be entering into the faith and really trying to decide, can I do this, and is this okay, and is this not? I definitely understand, because when I first saw it, I didn't know if I was like looking at something. I didn't know really what I was looking at, because I saw pasties. I'm like, wait, no, is that sheer? But you sure it wasn't something under it?
No,
It was
crazy
something
because you could see
nude.
the thumb.
And did you see the back? Because the back was a
She
full
ain't
thong.
fought. She ain't fought. D ain't fought.
It was a full thong. I was
was
like,
full
I
thong.
zoomed and was like, wow,
Yeah.
she don't. That's the thong.
I mean, she looked amazing. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, she's fabulous,
her body
but
has
it was-
been banging since day one.
Not what I would prefer to do, but yeah, no.
No.
No, but I definitely understand it. It could be very, very confusing to somebody entering in the faith of, is this okay? Can I do this? And
I could never, you know, they would stone me.
what?
No.
But
Okay,
here's
but
the
let me say
question:
this
would
too.
you want to?
Absolutely, no.
Okay.
I wouldn't want to put myself out there like that. To each his own.
Yeah.
But just being a woman, and I just believe in sacredness. Like, I just don't believe that the world needs to see
Everything.
everything. I
agree.
believe that is for my husband's eyes when I'm married, and that's it. That's not for the world.
Do you think because I'm noticing that a lot, even at awards, that it's less.
Right.
Everything is less. Did we gradually get to that, or was that?
We did. So we talked about, like, you know, the shock of seeing Little Kim with the pasty.
Yeah.
Right? And then you went from Little Kim with the pasty to Jennifer Lopez with the
little
Versace
dress.
Right.
that was cut all the way low. So that went viral.
Right.
And so Toni Braxton with the pieces, right?
Yeah.
So we have begun to get really super desensitized. Now, and it's not like this just happened,
No.
but like I said, when I first saw Sierra, my shock was, oh my gosh, she has a song, but dang, her body is banging.
Yeah.
You know, so it wasn't, I didn't think about it from the standpoint of, oh my God, woman of God, what
Right.
are you doing?
It was like, yeah, she's
You know, and her
tall,
conviction
hair
might
laid.
be completely different from,
Right.
you know, the next person's conviction.
Right.
But I just think that we are to the point where people are stepping out in public in next to nothing.
I agree. And it wasn't always like that. Even as you're talking, I'm remembering with MC Lyte and Queen Latifah's and Yo-Yo's, like there was a generation, and even before then, we were looking at the ages of women in their clothing, and they had stockings. They had like pins. It was pins and tights, but it was a certain length. So I believe it's gradually, but I think with every generation, it kind of falls back. It goes back to certain, I don't want to say season, but certain eras, like the 70s starts.
Josephine Baker.
There you
that
go.
was like they were performing, not necessarily wearing
Out
it
and about.
out.
But the 70s looks came back at a certain point. The neon look, the high, because even the girls in high school now, they wear baggy stuff and like the high, what do you call it? Socks. I can't even say socks. The socks that are way high. But every generation, I'm thinking we're going back to a past previous generation, and it's circling around. So I don't know. Let's see how this transpires.
But we could tell that times are changing because you have people like Black China now that's going under surgery to remove.
And she looks
amazing.
Beautiful.
I know.
Didn't Kim Kardashian do that as well too? Didn't she decrease her
They
butt?
say she decreased her behind, and her breast implants aren't as big.
But here's the thing though, right? Because that was a hype. And so you had a lot of young girls, you had a lot of women feeling like, okay, I need to go look like that. And now you have these women like, okay, this is not really trending no more. I'm getting older. It's not giving.
Well, and if you remember Kay Michelle, she came, sorry to cut you,
Yeah,
she came, when I sat down to interview with her, I appreciate her transparency, but she was honest, like it made her sick. And she even said she didn't fully, on air, she didn't give names, but she was really not happy with the fact that exactly what you said, there are people out there who did this procedure and they're not being honest with the effects of it. So when other young ladies or young girls are now seeing this and they're not understanding the issues that will come with it, like people are not making it, going doing some of these procedures and are getting medically sick.
Right.
So I'm with you on that, but with Black China, I was seeing her today. She looks beautiful, and like she looks happy. I almost like cried. I'm like, oh my gosh, she looks good. Like good.
And at peace, like she has a peace with herself.
And I don't know her whole, I don't know what she's going through now, but she just looked like she was trying to come back. So it was good to see that.
But kudos to Black China and the ladies that are going through the explants, removing your breast implants.
And being honest.
And being honest about it, transparent, because a lot of girls are suffering and don't understand why they're having autoimmune issues, why their hair is falling out, why they have low energy, why they're experiencing all sort of side effects, and they're not correlating it to breast implants or the butt shots or, different procedures that have happened. So kudos to the ladies that are being upfront, honest, and vocal about what they're going through and removing the things.
Yeah. So if it's not working for you,
I want to go back.
Please.
I want to go back to one thing that we were talking about women supporting women. Very recently, maybe last night, we saw this tension between SWV and Escape.
Oh, Lord.
And I mean, it is all over social media today. And these women are supposed to be touring with each other. So I don't even know how that's going to turn out.
Yes. Just perform. Just do the show. I feel like they will probably get to that point where it's like, all right, y'all, let's just. Here's, I think, would be the ideal thing to squash all of that. But I get it. Somebody has to open, somebody has to close. But I think I don't know if it was Charlamagne that made that point, that when you think SWV and Escape, you don't think headliner and opener. You just see two major groups coming together, and it's like, this is super dope. I didn't even equate that until they mentioned it, to be quite honest with you. It wasn't even
like a hierarchy.
Nah, it was just like
two amazing groups.
The thing about it is,
SWV, Escape.
The person who started the beef isn't even on tour with them. It was Tamar. Tamar was the one who got
It was Tamar?
Yeah, because she said something about Candy Burris' husband, trying to attack her or something, and then she said something about SWV having a better voice. I feel like it was Tamar. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like
that
Tamar started.
That was after.
I think that came from her seeing the episode.
Oh, okay.
Them because when I think Candy brought it up as far as who's who's going to open or who the payment and things
That's
like
so
that,
crazy.
which makes sense. But I hope they can really get past this. Might just be for TV. I'm hoping this is all just for like TV and the hype, and then they'll all come out together, walking in. That's what I picture, like the whole SWV and Escape walking together, choom choom choom. Then the lights, and then.
Cause didn't they do like a versus?
They did.
And they were like on stage
I
together,
think that's what
and we all
sparked
loved it. But and shout out to SWV. Like I'm partial because I love Taj.
Thought you were gonna say
So,
non-partial. Definitely not.
No, I'm partial. So shout out, and I really do hope they can.
I think they will. I'm hoping this is just all TV stuff to get people. This might be TV to rile us up to actually go to the show and see what they end up doing. They got us.
But do it always have to be drama though?
It doesn't.
Like, why?
It doesn't.
I get it, but do we always have to see women coming up against each other and not being able to just collaborate, work together, and
it doesn't.
It always have to be a fight.
Well, that's the
It
big
shouldn't.
thing with social media,
Yeah.
or I'm not social media, reality TV,
Yeah.
is that these reality TV shows, the producers come to these artists, actors, basketball wives, NFL wives, whatever, and they say, we want y'all to duke it out on camera so that we can have a show that people talk about. Like, that's really what they say, because, that was one of the main problems that the basketball wives said about the original show, that it was just like always this like tension,
Yeah.
this tension. And even on Love and Hip Hop and all these shows, it's always like who has the most tension, and that's going to be like the bigger paid actor.
That's unfortunate.
But I think I would like to see something different.
Yeah.
And I think there is space for us to see something on television where it isn't this kind of tension, where you're not bickering and, calling each other names and going back and forth, but the conflict can be different.
Right.
Just like you talked about artists and singing and rapping, you want something that is a bit more substance instead of just talking about, body parts and what I can do with what I have.
Here's what I will say, because hip hop, I think it was Hip Hop Sisters, MC Light was a part of that production. I think it was on We. So when those shows do come, we gotta support it.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, it is based on ratings and it is based on views. They still gotta get the numbers up to maintain it and sustain it. So, pero let's agree, when these shows come back on that do that, let's support it and watch it and post about it.
Absolutely.
I definitely want to ask you this question because we talked about it before with the agenda that we're seeing in the music industry.
Sure.
So I don't know if you saw the clip with Little Uzi Vert when he made that comment.
Yeah.
He said he made a city girl believe in Satan.
Yeah.
But we talked about it previously, how we've noticed that there's this agenda that's being pushed in the music industry. Very dark. Like, what are your thoughts about that?
When people tell you who they are, believe them. That's the first thing that comes to mind. I don't play about that stuff, and I get it. He did, I think somebody did an interview with him and said he was playing, but like, I think it was Summer Walker and Yayo, if I'm not mistaken, that kind of said like, don't play about that kind of stuff. You just don't play with that kind of talk. So I have been noticing that and seeing that for a while, just a lot of darkness coming through. And I think it's, if I don't have any kids yet, but I say I popped out hundreds of kids, I get them and bring them back to their prospective parents. But I always say if I wouldn't give it to my nephew or my nieces, then I have to be mindful of who I share it with. I know with the job that I do, of course, with radio and the music, some of the music that is played, I understand that, but I think we as a community too, I think we have to continue to do our part with our kids, whether they came out of us or whether you're their parent or not, and really infusing in our kids being mindful of what you're listening to. Because if a kid can be influenced by what they hear, and an adult can be influenced by what they hear, we have to understand that people are investing millions of dollars into ads and certain things for a reason, because it works. So I think as a community, we have to continue. I won't say have to start, because there are people out there. Just continue to do our part to really remind our kids and to infuse. We got to combat it, because darkness is going to be there. So, but I think we have to spread the light.
Right.
Matthew 5:14, be the light. A lamp on a hill must shine. So what are we shining the light on? Here's that. But you got shows like this who are shining the light on good things. Bam!
Yes.
Bam around that, baby.
So it has been amazing
Thank
having
you, ladies.
Stichiz join us.
I
Stichiz,
appreciate
where
it.
can people find you?
Yes.
Shining your light.
Please, who said it? Google me, darling. Joking. Stichz, Stichiz. Stichiz everywhere. We just released Big Screen, which is one of our, not just, but one of our singles. Shout out to Joe and Exiani for producing that, and also our children's book, Chia Belle, You Are Beautiful, Timmy's Great Day. So that's more targeting our kids with disabilities as well. So if you have young girls who are interested in music and producing and DJing, girlsmakebeats.org, but stichiz.com, everything. So I gotta ask you, ladies, can I ask you a question?
Absolutely.
Go ahead.
So with Big Screen, the whole essence of it is, what is that thing in your life that you always wanted to do, that sometimes even when you were a kid, it was placed in you? Oh, you thinking about it right now. It was placed in you, and it just won't shake off. And that's your big screen. So I'll ask you, or maybe you already reached your big screen. So I'll ask you. Start with Adriana. What is your big screen?
This is very weird, because I always saw myself like standing in front of like massive crowds of people. So I thought I was gonna be a singer,
Okay.
but the Lord didn't give me that.
I
really thought I was gonna be able to sing until
Okay.
people really told me I couldn't sing.
Okay.
And then I was like, oh, well, I guess that's not my dream. You know? But no, I've always seen myself literally like standing in front of a massive crowd of people. So I just think, even with what I do, as much as I tug with it, I think that's just something I can't shake at all until I'm standing in front of the stadiums of people. I think it's not going to leave me until I fulfill what I need to do.
So you're walking in it.
Yeah.
Because you're doing that now.
Yeah.
Okay.
But not at the capacity
That
I know
you
that
saw it.
that I saw it and that I
Okay.
know I should be doing it.
Another question's following up. What's stopping you from there? Or are you in that season
You
of walking
know,
in it?
to be honest, I don't think people understand the weight that comes with that. You
Sure.
know, you'll see people that will be so excited, like, oh yeah, I want to speak or preach in front of thousands of people. But there's such a big weight that comes with being a messenger for God.
Yeah.
And like somebody's destiny is in your mouth, you know? So the weight that comes with speaking and helping people get set free and leading people to Christ, like that's not an easy weight to carry,
Right.
you know, and you go through so much. The warfare is real.
Yeah.
I carry it well,
Yeah.
but it does get very, very hard. And I think a part of that is like sometimes I get tired and I'm just like, oh, I'm getting emotional, but I'm like, you know, God, like it's tough.
Yeah.
You know, you have such a big calling, but the weight with that is not easy.
It's not.
So I think that I have such a passion for it. I love it, but when you go through so much that's connected to that, it'll make you kind of be like,
Weary.
God, can I really carry this out? Do I have the capacity for it? You know?
And as you're talking, what's coming to mind is do not be weary of doing good. Because exactly what you said, wow, exactly what you said of their destiny is in your mouth. Their destiny is in your mouth.
Yeah.
So you're not speaking, their destiny is in your mouth.
Yeah.
He wouldn't have gave it to you if he didn't know you could carry it.
Listen.
Come on, baby, keep walking.
I know.
I ain't coming this, but that's my turn. It's just
Heavy
come.
Jesus.
Hey, he got you. Lay down your burden. He was built for it.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see you doing that and releasing it and releasing other people.
Man.
Wow.
Amen.
Go ahead, Denisha.
Come on, D. Come on, D.
Yes,
What
we're
is your
gonna
big
push you, girl, and pray for you. So my big screen, this is the start of it. It feels like decades of set, right? Sports and entertainment today. But I am truly seeing how God is laying the foundation. When I wanted it to pop, I wasn't ready. You know, I joke that I probably would have had a super big head.
Okay.
But I have been able to interact with people and meet people and, you know, really hone in on my skills, and they're still growing.
Nice.
But my big screen is a multimedia mogul. My big screen is the podcast and events and
stuff you doing.
Digital, and yes, film and
stuff
television.
Stuff you doing, D.
Yes. So that's the big screen.
You're in it.
Here we go.
All right. 2 for 3. Let's go.
All right. So my big screen is sports. I have always been the girl in my family that the boys hung out with.
Okay.
You know, my cousins, all my guy cousins, they message me all the time, oh, who should I play in fantasy football? Anything, whatever. So that's my thing. And back in 2015, Robert Littall, shout out to Robert Littall at Black Sports Online, gave me a chance to be one of his writers. It's an unpaid internship, but you know, you get your foot in the door, which led to me being able to cover the Miami Heat and cover NFL events or what have you. But at that time, my kids were still too young, and they were like, you're gone all the time. So I just put it at the back door. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna focus on you guys. Yeah. So now that they're 16 and 14, I'm like, okay, y'all can figure it out. My grandmother, she got married when she was 14, not like y'all should, but if she figured it out, so no. So now, you know, I've got back with Denisha. She's given me this opportunity to be here, and I get to talk to wonderful people like you.
Come on. Yeah. So the big screen, you're carrying it out. You're walking in it.
I'm walking it. And it's going to get bigger.
Nice.
It's going to get bigger.
What's the ultimate place that you want to be?
Whew, now I haven't even thought about that. Okay. And I'll be honest, I have not thought about where this could take me. But I see, I'm taking these little baby steps, and it's like the Michael Jackson video. As I walk, there's a light, and I just keep walking on it.
Oh, I picture that. That's dope.
Yeah, that's
I'm so excited for you, ladies. Thank you. I thoroughly enjoyed that. I enjoyed you. I like to hear people's big screen because once you continue to speak it out, I'm realizing, and you ladies know this, write it down, make it plain, write it down. But when you continue to speak it out, sometimes we forget. It's like we're so into the hustle and the bustle of things, but it's like, dude, you're kind of in it. You're kind of walking it. So I'm excited to see you on the next ESPN commentating. I'm excited to see your name.
Or Set Network.
Or Set Network. And baby, and Set Network, baby.
Yes.
But Media Mogul and yeah.
Something funny is that sometimes, I'll speak for myself, I had been afraid to say exactly what it is that I wanted because I felt like it was bigger than me. And it took me having to really own that thing.
Nice.
And say that, you know what, not only can it happen, but I serve a God that makes big things happen.
Come on.
So now I'm to the point where, and you know, you go through so much, to your point, and you just feel like, well, when? But the reality is, what's for you is for you. Mm-hmm. So
how did you get to that point, though? Because I think that's a big part.
So I got to that point when I stopped feeling like, you know what, I'm missing the timing. When I stopped putting when you're an overachiever or when you're somebody who is used to things happening, right? You just feel like, oh, I'm failing because it didn't happen, right? It's not happening when I'm thinking that it should.
Right.
And so then I realized that, you know what, if you just be patient and put in the work, because there's so many people around you that are putting in work and things are happening. And I used to be like, well, dang, but that popped for them and that popped for them, but it would be short-lived. And so I would have to say, but Lord, when it pops for me, I want to see longevity. And I don't know when that's going to happen, but I need to give it to you because I can't do it by myself.
Let's go.
And so for me to be able to say it, guys, it took a whole lot for me to get here. But I'm saying it because I know that there's somebody else that has big dreams, but they haven't spoken them out. Yeah. But there is such power in your tongue.
Life and death.
So I speak that thing out, and I see you speaking in front of stadiums of people.
Come on.
I see you breaking chains.
Yes, ma'am.
I see you delivering people.
Yeah.
Indeed, don't do that. You know, I can't. The
see
glue
it.
ain't strong. The glue ain't strong.
on.
I see it. I see it. I see it. I see it. So, like she said, don't get weary in good doing.
It's
Even
happening.
when it's hard. Even when you feel like, Lord, why me?
It's happening.
I'm trying to.
But it's
I'm
happening.
trying to be a thug on here.
No, don't tug. No,
Listen,
we
I will
don't
tell
tug.
you, and I will tell you, Samari will be like, ask Tasha. Tell Tasha, because she knows. She's the only woman that I know that talks sports like she does. The only woman.
Thank you.
Well, what did Tasha say? She knows her stuff. You know your
Yes.
stuff.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Man, Stichiz!
I'm sorry. I'll share one last thing because you shared about these two ladies, and I was telling you before we started. I remember we met a long time ago. I don't even remember what place it was, but I just remember the grace and the poise that you had, and I remember being like, "Oh, that's a Betty right there. Like, I need to know who she. Like, she a Betty. She was a real Betty." So just know that there is a grace and a poise that you carry that so many others are watching and paying attention to, and that they need to see. Because not only are you good for, I won't even say good, but built for in front of the camera, but behind the camera and overseeing. That's the making of a mogul right there. So everything that
These two pushed me. Listen, I would not be here.
come on.
And I always told Dee, like, people need her voice.
Yeah.
That was the biggest thing. I'm like, people need to hear her voice because she's so filled with wisdom. And it's like her voice is so soothing, you know? And I'm
Very
like,
quiet,
Dee, like, when you open your mouth, like, people will get healed and
Y'all, this
people
lash
will
about to
listen.
come on.
You know, so I'm just so happy that she's sitting in this chair and the world gets to experience what we get to experience on a daily. Like,
your
she is
flowers.
so needed. Yes, you are needed, especially in this space, as we were talking about. You don't see a lot of positivity. You don't see space created for women to come together and to, you know, be positive and to share their
Speak of their faith.
perspective.
Their
And
faith,
speaking
too.
of faith,
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
that's unheard of. So you are truly pioneering something that is truly missing in the industry.
Well, y'all, let's keep talking sports and entertainment.
That-
Let's keep
love
talking.
it.
And let me tell you, this is our 12th episode.
And it's also
Whoa.
our season finale. So
That's a
this
good
is
number.
a way to go out.
That's a great number. And if I can share one last thing, please.
Please, look.
And I hope this does help somebody. And we talked about it earlier before, just your journey. Like, everybody has, and I'm still learning it, but I'm grateful that I had to see it at that time. Talk about just knowing, I'm glad I didn't get signed as a kid, because if I didn't go through it hurt, boy, but if I didn't go through certain things or see certain things at that time, I don't know who I would have been.
Right.
In the spaces. So certain things, if you know and trust God, and I say this with so much conviction, and if you don't know him, so like, get to know him. Just ask him to reveal who he is to you and in your life. Just ask. But if you know you serve a God who is able, just know that it doesn't show God in a good light if you get blessed with something and you lose it. How does that give him glory? So if it takes a little bit longer for you or for us to receive something, that only means the way the vision that I received from it, and I promise I'm gonna shut up, sorry guys. or Oreo looking over there like, y'all ain't finished yet. No, we ain't done yet. We ain't done yet. We ain't done. Papa, we ain't done. But the way I see it, it's the vision I got was kind of like the Mario Brothers. And I'm not endorsing it because they ain't paying me for that, but that's what came to mind. But it's like, you remember when Luigi and Mario, once they get the, what is it, the mushrooms? And they power up.
Right.
But there's a level.
Right.
For each level you go to, you got to get a certain thing. So that's kind of like your life and your journey. This ain't even me now. It's like the life and the journey, every level, every season, there's certain things that we have to get. There's certain things that you have to get. So don't miss that process in that journey, because everything that you receive, it's built. It's meant to build you for the next season so you can sustain and maintain for the next level that you're supposed to be in. But if we negate and lose and miss whatever we're supposed to get into that season, that's when things start stripping. That's when we start seeing things being lost and being shaken. So don't get weary. It happens, but don't get weary in the process, because that's probably just your building process for the next level to build you. So the next time they're gonna try you like they did in the last season, it's not gonna move you the same way, because, oh, I've seen that, or I've been through that, so you can move better. So just stay planted and know that if you're here, that means he got something good for you, but you gotta know that.
Yes, that was good.
Yeah. Thank you, ladies.
Thank
Yes.
you.
Thank you. Right.
you.
You
So
got us
guys,
all
that's our
crying.
12th episode of
Yay!
Unset the Podcast. Season 1. We are officially wrapped. I'm Danisha Roll.
I'm Adriana Smith.
And I'm Sports Talk Tasha. And this is Stichiz.
Bitches. Yes, and we are set. Make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe. And we will see you right back for I'm Set the Podcast Season 2.
What's the dance? Y'all got to dance like what the aunt said?
Like,
See?
Oh, we got to come up with a dance.
Hey, say it.